quaint, remote town nestled at the foothills of the Rockies. The air buzzed with the quiet murmurings of a mystery that had surfaced, a mystery that refused to settle. The local tavern, a place known for its rustic charm, now played host to whispers of an abandoned fire tower nestled deep within the groves of evergreens. A group of seasoned paranormal investigators, drawn by the thrill of the unknown, descended upon the town, determined to unravel the disturbing enigma that was the firewatcher's last log. As evening fell, the team gathered around a creaky wooden table in the tavern, poring over the scant evidence they had managed to gather. Old newspaper clippings, eyewitness accounts, and a faded, yellowed map marked with cryptic notations all littered the tabletop. The air was thick with anticipation, and the unshakable feeling that they were stepping into a narrative far darker than anything they'd encountered before. In the midst of their planning, the tavern's lone radio crackled to life with a burst of static, an ominous reminder of the communication device that had once echoed the firewatcher's chilling final words. An air of foreboding enveloped them as they prepared to journey into the dense forest come dawn. The sky outside darkened to a deep indigo blue, speckled with the distant glow of countless stars, a serene yet unsettling backdrop. Their minds were set, and determination carved into their features, united not only by their curiosity, but by the eerie sense that something or someone waited for them in the depths of the wilderness, under the solemn watch of age-old trees that harbored secrets untold. The morning of their expedition dawned with an otherworldly hush blanketing the forest. Their gear packed, the team departed the town's last semblance of civilization and trailed a narrow path into the dense embrace of the woodland. An elderly townsman watched their departure with wary eyes, muttering under his breath about the ones before, who ventured too far and never returned. Each step they took was accompanied by the whispered rustle of leaves, blending with the occasional cry of distant birds circling unseen above the tree line. The sun struggled to pierce through the thick canopy, casting a dappled pattern of light and shadow on the forest floor. A feeling of unease settled over the group as they trod deeper into the heart of the mountains, their thoughts echoing the firewatcher's unfinished warning. There in the trees, as midday approached, the team paused for a brief respite near a burbling brook. They exchanged stories of their past encounters with the supernatural. Yet, despite their light-hearted attempts, the shadow of the firewatcher's fate lingered. Their laughter faltered as one of them pointed out an abnormality, a shadow flitting between the trees, just at the edge of their vision, where the light dared not tread. An unspoken agreement passed among them. Whatever lingered in these woods was no mere shadow of the mind. As the afternoon sun gave way to the muted hues of twilight, they reached the clearing where the abandoned fire tower stood. Its structure loomed against the dimming sky, a skeletal silhouette overshadowed by the encroaching darkness of the forest. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A silent guardian standing watch over the wilderness, holding secrets of the past. With a mixture of anticipation and trepidation, the team approached the base of the tower. They paused the movement of their equipment for a moment to absorb the profound silence that emanated from the structure. The air was crisp, each breath visible against the chilling backdrop of the evening. As one of them climbed to the watch deck, the ancient wood groaned underfoot, as if reluctant to bear witness to the unfolding investigation. Once atop, they were confronted with an expansive view that stretched across the forest, the landscape consumed by the encroaching night. A cursory exploration yielded nothing of immediate consequence. Old observation logs, faded maps detailing past fires, and the firewatcher's journal, ominously placed on a weathered desk. As they flipped through its pages, they felt the weight of eyes unseen, the sensation that the land itself was conscious of their presence. The last words echoed in their minds. There in the trees, as the night draped its cloak of darkness over the woods, the team settled into an uneasy camp at the tower's base. They reviewed their discovery, piecing together the firewatcher's routine logs before reaching the disquieting final entry. Its ending, there in the trees, lingered in the air like an unfinished melody. The shadows lengthened, merging into an impenetrable black that engulfed them. Their campfire crackled in the stark silence, painting flickering shapes on the surrounding tree trunks. In the periphery of light, shadows writhed as if alive, dancing to the tune of a phantom breeze. They exchanged theories in hushed tones, the fire's warmth doing little to vanquish the chill creeping into their bones. Each member felt the unspoken agitation, a silent questioning of their objective, and the reality of the firewatcher's cryptic message. Suddenly, the forest erupted into a cacophony of noises, branches breaking and leaves rustling, echoing from all directions. A profound stillness followed, heavy with anticipation and fear. They instinctively huddled closer around the fire, their senses on high alert. For an instant, everyone felt the impossibility of the moment, as if the woods themselves were breathing, whispering of something hidden amongst their ancient boughs, just beyond comprehension. In the cold, pre-dawn hours, fatigue coupled with an uneasy restlessness kept the team awake. The fire had long since dwindled, the embers a faint glow amidst the darkness. They decided to split up to cover more ground, hoping exploration would yield some clarity to the unsettling events of the previous night. The air was cold and unyielding as they ventured in pairs, navigating with cautious steps through the forest's labyrinthine pathways. Every snapping twig seemed to echo louder, and the trees, now emerging from the shadows of night, appeared less numberless and more alive, as if aware of the intrusion. The forest seemed to lend its voice to the wind, a soft, mournful whisper that promised secrets the living world wasn't meant to know. One pair discovered another clearing, where the ground was unusually barren, the soil dark and damp. In the center, a circle of stones surrounded an ancient tree with a grotesque, gnarled trunk. It stood apart from others, its twisted branches resembling desperate arms reaching out for solace. A palpable malevolence emanated from it, a sinister heartbeat keeping time with the forest's whispered breath, suggesting this might be the source of power, a focal point for the unsettling presence they felt. As daylight crept through the canopy, bringing a fleeting sense of security, the team regrouped at the fire tower. They shared their observations, the barren clearing, the ominous tree, and the oppressive feeling of being watched. Their voices carried the residual tremors of fear, echoing through the air as they pored over their findings. They decided to document everything, setting up cameras and audio recorders around the fire tower and the Millicent tree. The process felt more like a ritual, one meant to capture the essence of what dwelled here. Within them was a growing dread that their investigation was veering towards an undeniable and haunting climax, one that promised no easy explanations. With the equipment set, an uncomfortable silence descended, amplifying every rustle and whisper of wind through the trees. Hours crept by, each moment pregnant with tension, until the sky began to take on a deeper hue. Dusk descended heavily, drawing the world once more into shadow and uncertainty, and the firewatcher's unfinished log pressed heavily against their minds, urging them on. The night's arrival was palpable, as if the forest held its breath in anticipation. As moonlight flickered through the leaves, the team huddled around the monitors, scrutinizing the steady recording from their cameras. Their eyes darted between the screens and the encroaching night, nerves taut as the wind strummed a silent melody among the trees. With every rustle and whisper from the forest, they glanced around nervously, their senses on edge. The tension built as time slipped by, dragging each second into an eternity. Through the camera feeds, they watched with growing horror as the bark of the ancient tree shifted subtly, creating what seemed like visage, a grotesque face twisted in perpetual torment. Suddenly, all audio equipment emitted a high-pitched wail, and the landscape was momentarily illuminated with supernatural clarity. Images of translucent figures flitted across the screen, dissolving into the air. An electromagnetic pulse seemed to surge through the area, overwhelming their senses with an invisible weight, and confirming the forest held a force far greater than the sum of its parts. The sudden silence that followed the spectral barrage was more terrifying than the chaos. It was a silence that seemed to ring in their ears, broken only by their ragged breaths. In those breaths lay the truth they'd been avoiding, the realization that they faced something not just haunting, but inherently connected with the land itself. As they attempted to regain composure, one member suggested that the spirit tied to the land might wish to communicate or be unwilling to let them leave. This posed a chilling prospect, for any interaction could deepen its hold over them. They crafted a makeshift seance, hoping to communicate or at least discern what had unfolded in that fire tower all those years ago. Their initial efforts were met with only more silence, but persistence paid off. Briefly, a presence made itself known, a cold tendril of air weaving between them, forming words in their minds rather than ears. It conveyed a haunting message of loss and warning, a tale of entities born of trees, who consumed none but those who dared to listen. They realized in terror that the firewatcher's cryptic message was not a warning, but a mere expression of the inevitable. The realization of the forest's sentience weighed heavily on the team. In their eagerness to explore the unexplained, they had inadvertently become part of an ancient narrative, a tale not of the isolated past, but of the recurring present. The forest, once a mere backdrop to their investigation, had morphed into an entity that whispered of mysteries beyond human understanding. In the cold light of dawn, they deliberated their options, knowing that retreat might be their only escape. The forest remained unnervingly quiet, as if waiting, watching their next move with a sentient expectation. There was a quiet kind of surrender in the team's acceptance of retreat, tempered with the urgency of departure. They dismantled their camp hastily, every snapped twig and crisp leaf crunching underfoot, a reminder of their vulnerability. Even the sunlight peeking through the branches seemed diluted, an unfriendly glow that offered none of the warmth or comfort it should have. As they left the clearing, the trees seemed to exhale, and even then, as they stepped away from the heart of the forest, the words of the final log pulsed ominously in their minds. There, in the trees, the team's retreat through the forest seemed to stretch into eternity, every step marred by the oppressive presence that seemed to follow them. They were leaving, yet a part of them felt an undeniable pull to stay, to understand the sinister beauty of the place. Each twisted branch and rustling leaf beckoned with a voice not audible, but felt deep within. In the back of their minds, each investigator carried the knowledge that the forest would not truly let them go. Emerging into the clearing where their journey had begun, relief mingled with a sobering realization that this was only an interval, not an end. Even as they left, the indelible mark of the forest's possession would follow them, a silent shadow lurking at the edge of consciousness. Once back in town, the stories they shared weren't of terror witnessed, but of a presence felt, an everlasting embrace that promised no solace, just a reminder of the thin veneer that separates the known from the unknown. The firewatcher's last log, forever unfinished, was now a burden shared, its cryptic warning now a part of them as inescapable as the shadow of the trees.